Hello, my name is Julio Diaz. Welcome to Guitar Memories. Today I have the pleasure to introduce you an amazing guitarist from Funeral Procession, Nakoa Arnold.
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you very much, man. Excited to be here with you, brother.
Hey, thank you so much, Nakoa, for being here on Guitar Memories for accept this invitation. How's it going?
It's going good. Staying busy. Got a lot of stuff on the plate, and excited to do my first official podcast and hang out and talk with you a little bit.
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah. I'm really excited to listen your story and hear that amazing guitar and talk about music, right?
Let's go.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about yourself, please?
Very short. My name's Nakoa. I've been playing music since I was 14, and I am older than dirt now. I'm 41, so you do the math. I've had a few breaks in there. I started off playing bass and moved to guitar and drums over the years out of necessity to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. In my heart, I'm a bass player, but really in my soul, I'm a guitar player because it allows me to create and write and really put myself in the strings and in the music. So,
Nice. Okay, Nakoa, I want to ask you, the first time you said, "Oh, I want to do that." Well, you said you started with the bass guitar, right? And you maybe looking a friend or watching TV, you said, "Oh, I want to do that. I want to play the bass guitar."
I remember exactly. So growing up, music was always me. It was my friends. Our lives revolved around music. Being as young as I can remember, we were always trading CDs and tapes and taping each other the new CDs that we got so that we all had the same albums to listen to. And I remember being in 7th grade, and my buddy across the street got a drum set for Christmas, and we were talking about playing music, and one of the guys played guitar. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, I want to be like Fieldy from Korn. Like, I remember the first time I heard Korn, I was like, what is that noise, man? I heard Ball Tongue, and dude, I don't care what anybody says about Korn. That album changed my life, and I wanted to be like Fieldy. We're sitting on the front porch of my buddy Tyler's house. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I was like, I guess I'm going to get a bass because I want to be like Fieldy.
Yeah, I love that album. It's really awesome. I remember when I started with music. Mm-hmm. I was listening because I share music with my friends, and they show me significant other issues, and oh wow, what kind of music is that? And that's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, when you start to learn, how you learn the bass guitar?
For me, it was really about just surrounding myself with people better than me. Getting on the internet, getting tabs, learning how to play my favorite songs, and then hanging out with musicians that were levels above me and asking them what they were doing, taking tips. Like one of my good friends growing up, Mike Sanchez, he's actually in my band now, which is great. He's the best guitar player I've ever met in my life, but he does all of our studio keys and stuff like that. He introduced me to a lot of really, really incredible progressive music like Dream Theater and Porcupine Tree and stuff that I still listen to this very day. And he was just this insanely amazing guitar player, and I always looked up to him so much, even as a bass player. And I remember he gave me an Yngwie Malmsteen book, a tab book for bass, for Rising Force. And learning some of that stuff really pushed me to the next level. I was really good at like the slap bass and all that kind of stuff. I was real big into Primus and doing all that kind of stuff. And when I started hearing Malmsteen, it was like, man, like I don't just want to play bass, I want to play guitar. And just watching the people around me that were better than me, really, that's what it came down to. I took a couple lessons playing bass, and I did a lot of practicing. I mean, I spent a lot of my early teen years playing bass and practicing, and it was kind of hard to find a teacher that could really teach me what I wanted to learn, right? I took lessons from a guy, he was like a country bass player, and I wanted to learn slap. I wanted to learn how to play like Victor Wooten. I wanted to learn Les Claypool stuff, and he couldn't really teach me anything, so I just kind of had to do it on my own. And so that's before YouTube and all the cool stuff kids have now.
Sure. Okay, how do you get your first bass?
Saved up money and used all my birthday money and bought it. Yep. but it was a GTX P bass. It was just a P bass knockoff, and it's crazy that thing was with me for a while. And I always wanted an Ibanez sound gear like Fieldy had, and I eventually got one of those, which is cool. So.
Oh wow, that's nice. Well, why did you decide to swap for the bass to the guitar?
For me, it was kind of there's a duality there. It was kind of out of a need. I didn't really have any guitar players that wrote what I wanted to play. And so I wanted to write my own music. I wanted to start my own band, and it's much easier to do that on guitar than it is on bass. And then the other part of it is, man, I just feel like guitar is such an expressive instrument. I play classical guitar, I play resonator, like bluegrass style, I play metal. I feel like guitar, you can really just come to it and you can pour your soul out through the notes. And for me, it was about having an instrument that allowed me to express myself a little bit more. So, it didn't come easy. I still have to practice hard to be decent at playing guitar. But for me, it was all about just knowing that, like, I want to express myself more as a musician. So.
Oh, nice. Yep. Thank you for sharing all the stories with us. Well, you start to learn guitar because you want to make your own music, right? And the first guitar you get, what kind of guitar?
So first guitar I ever got was in high school, and it didn't belong to me. It was my good friend Nathan, and he was in my bands for a lot of years doing vocals, and he had this really awesome LTD 7-string that his grandma had bought him. And he didn't really play much guitar, but he had all the cool gear. And I remember being at his house one day and kind of playing around on it, and he was like, dude, take it home, like, figure it out. He basically gave me this guitar. And so my first electric guitar was a 7-string. And so that came with a lot of challenges to learn how to play really well. But, I always credit Nathan with giving me my first guitar. I mean, he never asked for it back, after all those years. We did a lot of music together. That thing was kind of the catalyst for me to really be excited about playing guitar. And I started off playing on a 7. It's funny, now my favorite guitars are 6 strings and E standard, so I don't do super low tunings. But I started off on a 7-string, and it was because my amazing friend was just so like, hey, dude, like, I believe in you. I want you to have this guitar. Obviously don't ever sell it, but, keep it, learn how to play it. Let's start a band, because he believed in what I could do. That was really cool. So
yeah, but
I didn't have a lot of money growing up, so
what's weird? The technique you used for change the bass.
Yep.
I don't know if you play with the fingers or
yep.
with the pick.
Yeah.
And change for the tiny strings, and how was there?
Awful. I still struggle with picking. On bass, man, I play a lot of like slap and funk stuff, and I haven't owned a bass in a while, and I can pick it up and play like I've always played. But like with guitar, if I take a few days off, I have to warm up really good because my picking hand has just never been that good. Like I always have to fight it. It didn't come super naturally. Writing did, but like playing guitar was always kind of like a love of. A labor of love. I had to put more into playing guitar than I did playing bass. That's kind of why I loved it. It was like, ooh, I got to work harder for this. And so that's kind of my thing. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I still work on it today, 20 years later. If you struggle with picking, don't feel bad. I'm proof that if you practice enough, you'll be mediocre one day.
Okay. Yes. This a really nice advice. To keep practicing, because it's the way you get better and sounds better. And well, if you love this, just practice.
Yep.
Practice. And I know a lot of people want to share their music, but you will be better about the instrument, and you will get a better music to share for the people.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
But it's a process, like whatever you want to do. Okay. I want to ask you about when you decide, you said, okay, I feel good with my skills to join a band or to create a band.
Yeah.
What can you talk about that?
For me, I've always chased this vision of what I want to do. I've got ADHD really bad. And so for me to sit there and learn other people's music has always been really hard. It doesn't matter how good my skill is. I've always struggled learning other people's music, and I've always had a vision of what I wanted to do. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to join other bands. I spent most of my time trying to start my own band, get my own band going. And so that for me was day one of playing guitar. It was all about, how do I get this band started immediately? How do I get this music that I want to write? How do I get my soul out there and do it in the way that I want to do it? And I think there's a lot of bands, you find there's one guy in the band that writes everything, writes all the music. They're the visionary. I'm not saying I'm visionary, but that's just always been kind of my approach, right? I've always wanted to do my thing. I've wanted to do it my way with my rules. I wanted to go out, put out the music that I write. And so for me, I've been in bands, I've played with other people, but I always found myself either clashing or just not happy because I wasn't the creative person in the band writing the songs. And I love to write. I can write every style of music. I love to write music. I love to put it out there. And when I'm not doing that, I feel like I'm at my worst. And, it doesn't mean every song is amazing. It doesn't mean every song's the best. But for me, it was just about chasing that ability to do it. Just do my own band and do my own thing. That's what I've always been after.
Nice. Thank you so much. Well, right now, can we talk about a Funeral Procession?
Yeah.
How you started with this project?
Yeah, so, the Funeral Procession, I started writing this music, in 2008. My friend Mike Sanchez that I talked about earlier, he's always been like a few steps ahead. And he sent me a song one day that had like awesome metal drums and stuff on it. I was like, how did you do that? I had no idea how to record. He was like, dude, I've got these programs and I learned how to play drums on my keyboard. So I went over to his house one day and like literally like he was playing like metal drums on a piano, like on his MIDI keyboard. I was like, dude, oh my God. And so I had like 3 songs written and they were real sloppy. They weren't recorded to a metronome or anything. And I gave them to him and I was like, what can we do with this? He's like, well, let me see. So he kind of mapped out the songs and he's like, look, man, like the timing isn't good because you didn't record to a click track. He's like, come over and let's re-record everything and then we'll write drums to it and turn them into songs. And so he was really instrumental in helping me kind of take this conception of an idea for the Funeral Procession and turn it into music. And then being in the music scene out here for years and years and years and being around bands and being in and out of bands, I knew a lot of people in the area. And in 2008, Mike and I decided that we were going to turn it into a band. Hey, these songs are awesome. Let's go play. And so Mike was playing lead guitar in the band. I was playing rhythm. And I got a drummer named Mike Miller who was in a band called A Dozen Furies. Mm-hmm. And what was cool about him was, man, this guy, he did like Ozfest and all kinds of stuff. Insane drummer. I remember the first time I met him, I was playing drums, and he came out to my jam room because he wanted to play drums with me on guitar, and I just watched him play drums, and I was like, I quit. I'm selling my drum set, and I'm just going to play guitar. And so he came and auditioned and really loved the fact that we weren't like every other band at DFW. We're melodic, progressive, and so we brought him on board, and then it's funny, my current singer, Brian, came on bass. And I remember he came and tried out, and he was such a nice guy, super cool guy. I gave him some stuff to work on, taught him some music theory. Hey, man, here's some scales. Bring this stuff back and see what you can do. Tapped out a song. Showed back up the next week, ready to practice, and knew the music and did a great job. And so Brian's kind of been my other driving force in TFP. Well, Mike left the band. He's more of a progressive guy, right? Mm-hmm. More Porcupine Tree, more of that kind of melodic stuff. We were going heavier, more death metal, more black metal, and getting that way. And Mike wanted to go do his own thing, so we brought in one of Brian's friends, Jared, on guitar, who came back in the band later. And we ran that. We played a couple really awesome shows, and then our drummer was just kind of burnt out on music. And so he stepped down, and we couldn't replace him. All the good drummers in the FW were taken. Couldn't find anybody to backfill him, so the band died in 2010. It was a challenge. It was sad because we put everything we had into it, right? All of our heart and soul. Did a couple other projects throughout the years, and then in 2023, Brian hit me up, and we were talking, and we hadn't talked in years. I hadn't really talked to Brian much in a couple of years, and I sent him a song I was working on. It's like, hey man, check this song out. Like, I felt really good because I've kind of stayed away from writing TFP style music for years because I want to do it TFP the way I do TFP, and I just decided to start writing some stuff kind of in the style that we used to do. And I sent it to him, and he's like, dude, I love this so much. He's like, let's get together and let's just put out an album. Let's give TFP its heyday. Let's put an album out so we at least say we have an album, 13 years later. And so I was like, you know what? That sounds great. So about April of 2023, me and Brian started meeting up here basically every day after work. And we just write and work on songs and get stuff down. And then it came time for drums. And I was like, you know what? I've got to have my favorite drummer in DFW. His name is Jaron. His drum set's right there. It's beautiful. I love this kid. He has been just one of the sickest musicians I've ever met in my life. I knew I had to have him on the album. And so I hit him up, and him and I had done a couple projects together over the years. And I was like, hey, man, I've got this album I'm putting out. I don't want any other drummer in the world on it but you. Will you do it? And he was like, yeah, man, for you, I'll come out and do it. So it came out, tracked the album. A couple months go by, we shoot a music video. None of us have played together. We got to show up and pretend we know the songs and do a music video. And I remember at the music video telling Jaron, I was like, dude, like, let's do something with this, man. Let's make this a band. And he was like, I don't have a whole lot of time, but okay. And so from about December 2023, it was, hey, let's turn this thing full time and let's make it a band. So we went out, we bought our in-ear rig, we bought, our live rig that we use, got everything set up, and in January we started jamming and played our first show in June of 2024. And it's just been on from there, man. It's been going crazy. So, long story, I know. Yeah. There's a lot of history there.
Yeah, but it's like almost 20 years.
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah, I know.
Man, yeah. 25 years. Wow.
Yeah.
You just get shortly, but yeah. That's nice. That's nice. You keep your vision alive.
Absolutely.
And that's inspirational, right?
Thank you.
That's really, really nice. I just listened your debut album and it's still Silence.
Yeah.
And that's really nice. The work you did with the guitars are really, really amazing. So it's really nice. Guys, just go to Spotify and listen. And it's still Silence. That's really, really nice album.
Thank you.
Well, right now I'm shocking, but it's the first Jackson Michael Kelly, right?
Close. It's a Warrior.
Oh, it's a Warrior.
So yeah, similar to a Kelly, but yeah, a little pointier.
And can you talk about this guitar?
Yeah, man, this thing is it's a machine. Jackson and me have gone a long way back. I did our first 3 songs I recorded back in 2008 on a Jackson. Not this one, but I love Jackson guitars. I like Paul Reed Smith. I've owned a bunch of Paul Reed Smiths. I'm kind of a gearhead. And, I got to this point where, I was playing a bunch of Paul Reed Smiths and a bunch of Ernie Ball Music Man Petrucci Majesty signatures. And John Petrucci is one of my favorite guitar players. And I kind of hit this point where I was like, man, I'm kind of tired of playing somebody else's signature guitar. The Majesty is one of my favorite guitars ever. But I was like, man, I need something different. I want to play something that's going to be a little bit more me. I want something that kind of expresses the direction I see the band going. I want something that when I pick it up inspires me in a different way. And I was like, you know what? Like, I always loved Jackson. And so I picked up a couple Jacksons and loved them. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I want something I've never owned before. I've never owned a guitar like this pointy, this metal. It's always been about the beautiful flame top and all that stuff. And I was like, I want a metal machine, man. I want a riff machine. And so I ordered this guy, and it's a USA custom shop Jackson Warrior. And man, it's the moment I pulled it out of the case, I was like, this thing's different. It's different. I've owned soloists and everything else, but I've never owned one of these. And it brings out a whole different vibe, man. It really does. It brings out a whole different feeling when I'm playing. It looks awesome. It looks sick. You don't see a lot of them right now, which is cool. And I just feel like, going this route, going the pointier, more metal looking guitar route was something I've never done. I've always had the boutique, looks like it belongs in a museum looking Paul Reed Smith or the Music Man's, and I really wanted to go just super shredder looking. And so I got this, and then I liked this one so much, I ended up buying a King V and a Rhodes. So I've got 2 V's as well. So,
what kind of pickups?
Yeah, Seymour Duncan's. And so I don't know what's in the neck, but in the bridge is an Invader. In the Invader's sick, dude. My 2 favorite pickups are Lundgren, which is what Meshuggah uses. I like the M series, and then the Invader is just nasty sounding. Yeah. So it's got a lot of low end, and we play in E standard. So we're in normal tuning like Metallica, but that pickup, it's got enough low end, it makes it feel nice, thick, and chunky. So it gives some of that low end in there that I like.
Okay, let's do it then. And can you play the guitar right now?
Oh man, this is too much pressure. Let's see. I'll do a riff, man. I'll talk a little bit about riffs. So I like writing riffs that I feel like tell a story and go places. And one of my favorite riffs is the opening for Bitter Remnants. And I like that riff because it just kind of goes a bunch of different places and comes back together. And so I'm going to be a little sloppy. It's okay. But the opening to Bitter Remnants is one of the coolest riffs, in my opinion, on the album, just because the drums come in lightning fast and the riff just kind of, it's in these different sections. So it's... It's one of my favorite riffs on the album. It's fun to play, and it's not super hard, but it definitely moves around a bit. So I like writing riffs that kind of tell a story. I feel like that one's just kind of written in movements. So,
but the tone is really, really nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
What kind of equipment you use?
So I keep it super simple. We use, and I'll get you some pictures of this thing. Mm-hmm. We have a full in-ear rig, and in that we're running Line 6 Helix. Mm-hmm. And so that handles everything for us. I've had every modeler. I've had every Axe Effects, Quad Cortex, Kemper. I've done it all. I come back to Line 6 because A, it's easy to use. And if you use third-party IRs, which are the cab responses, it sounds in a blind test the same as everything else, right? You can't beat it, in my opinion. I love my Helix. I run the Paul Reed Smith Archon amp for gain, and I run it for clean. I keep it very simple. The other thing I love about that is we play live with click tracks and in-ears. Yeah. So live, I don't have amps on stage. Everything's in our ears and coming out the PA. And what I love is I'm able to, with this setup, do all my preset changes. So I never have to touch my floorboard live. So when it goes to a clean section or it goes to a guitar solo, I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is focus on giving the best show I can, because our computer is going to tell that thing to change presets for me. And it makes my life easy because I just get to show up, focus on giving the best show that I can. I will never go back. I think amps are awesome. I love a good tube amp. There's some sick amps out there. I'd love a Bogner Ecstasy. But when it comes down to it for practical use, man, I built the rig of my dreams. It works exactly how I want it to. It's never let us down, and it sounds really good. Our tones, we've got like a concert level PA. We're pushing about 20,000 watts in this rig. Wow. So I've dialed our tones in at like high volume. And so they don't sound super amazing quiet, but when you go play live, they're really designed for that super loud stage volume level, because there's 2 different sounds that you want. You've got your bedroom tone that sounds good, then you've got your live tone that sounds good. And I've been able to dial this thing to where it sounds clear, sounds amazing, crunchy live, and gives me everything I want whenever we go on stage. I know what I'm going to sound like. I know I don't have to worry about what I'm going to be thinking about on stage, just doing my vocals, playing my riffs, throwing down for the crowd, making sure it's a good show, and letting my rig do all the rest of the work for me. So I'm a big Line 6 fanatic.
Yeah, well, right now we are on that kind of age,
Yep.
right? To be lighter, to go to the gig and okay, I just take my rack or my pedal board
Yep.
and go, and it's the same tone on the jam room or on the
Yep.
in the concert, right? And that's really practical. But on the podcast, you are the first one. You just said, okay, I need to be practical. I need to be secure about my tone
Yep.
and jam room and the gig, right? How was your process doing change and swap the amps to um, the digital sound?
So for us, whenever we decided to bring this band to fruition and start doing this thing, I went straight with this rig. So my singer and I invested a lot of money into gear, and so we knew we wanted to go in-ears. We knew that we wanted to make sure everybody in the band has the best mix possible. We play really fast. We have a lot of complex changes. We got to make sure we have a click track. We got to make sure we can hear each other. So we went with the Shure in-ears. We've got the Behringer X32 rig in there for our in-ear mixes. And then just tone-wise, man, I've used Line 6 for years. I used it when I played bass, used it for playing guitar. And so that's just what I wanted to go with for this project. Mm-hmm. It allows me to set my tone and forget it. I'm a gearhead. I've owned hundreds of guitars, hundreds of instruments over the years. I buy, sell, and trade like crazy. I've owned a lot of cool stuff. And for me, like, this allows me to focus less on worrying and focus more just on the playing. I dialed in our tones the way I want. I'm very particular, and I think you have to be. I want my band to sound a certain way. I want us to sound exactly the same in Austin as we do in Dallas, as we do in Houston, as we do at Rail Club, as we do at Haltom, right? And I knew the only way for me to do that was to remove any variables. The only variables are how good we play that night. So our guitar tones are going to sound the same. Our vocals are going to sound good. Everything's run through there. When we show up live, man, I hand the sound guy a labeled snake. I go, here's our snake, man. It's got our vocal. Everything's labeled. Every sound guy has like basically thanked us, like, oh my God, you make my life so much easier. And there's a lot of bands running rigs like this now too. But I knew that, if you make the sound guy happy, you're going to sound good. Keep the sound guy smiling, make his job easy. Hey man, all you got to do is plug in these 7 connectors and then throw a mic on the snare if you need it. We'll be good to go. Everything else is ready. And so we've got our band in a box. We've got the tones dialed the way I want them. We sound phenomenal live. That's just being objective, right? I made sure I've taken a lot of video. I've listened from out in the crowd, stuff like that, just to really fine tune how we sound. And it's taken probably a good year to get happy with it, right? Changed a couple different amp models, changed a couple different cab sims, tone settings, and then buying this huge PA system that we have has allowed me to like turn the volume up in here to about what it would be like at a venue, and just really fine tune it and get that nasty high end out and get that low end where it needs to be so it sits with the kick drum. I've tried to really EQ my guitars to sit right where they need to in the mix. So
yeah, do you think that's the future, or that's the way the bands get professional?
I think it is the future. I think amps have got a cool like cult following coming back. You're starting to see bands use tube amps and stuff again. Once again, I love a good tube amp, man. There's nothing like plugging into like a Mesa dual rectifier, or a Marshall full stack. Oh, I used to have 2 Marshall full stacks. I love that kind of stuff. But I think from like, if you're looking to tour, you're looking to play a lot of shows, and you want to have a consistent sound, controlling your tone is the best way. And setting this up, it removes all the variables. You don't have to worry, did they put the SM57 in the wrong spot on the cab?
Yeah.
Is it too far away from the speaker grill, right? You don't have to worry about any of that stuff because your tone is the same everywhere you go. And for me, I'm a little OCD. That helps me out. It takes one thing off my plate.
Yeah, I'm thinking, what, this is the future for gigs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the studio recording, it's another kind of process.
Yep.
Right? Because you are looking your tone Uh, don't matter the instrument.
Yep.
But the amps, well, bulbs amp, it's really heavier, and take the amp, the cabinet, go to the gig, play for 30 minutes, and go back, and it's really, yeah, all of us loves amps, but it's really a hard job, and right now the world is really quickly, right, and you need to be get faster like the world it's to be, right? Well, do you remember that solo, that riff, you practice and practice, and you said, oh, this solo, that riff, that lick, get me better guitarist?
Yeah, a lot of them. For me, I was always trying to push my own boundaries and write stuff that like was harder to play. So I used to, way back when I was younger, try to write everything just as technical and hard to play as possible. And I listened to a lot of like progressive bands, and I was always about pushing the boundaries. I think for me, it really came from just trying to like one up myself. I want to write a riff that's really hard to play, and I don't do as much of that this time around in the band. There's some techie stuff, there's some cool metric modulated stuff, there's some cool time signature stuff, but I try to keep it more tasteful these days. But back then, man, every riff I used to write, I used to try to push my own boundaries. Like, this is going to make me a better player. I'm not great at learning other people's stuff. I know guys that can be in cover bands and go play 30 songs from memory. You could teach me an AC/DC song right now, I wouldn't remember it tomorrow. My mind just doesn't work like that. It's annoying. It sucks. I remember what I write, and so for me, it was always about just pushing my own boundaries. Like the very first guitar riff I ever wrote, nobody believes me when I first tell them, but the very first guitar riff I wrote is the opening riff to the song "In Still Silence," and I think that's the worst song on the album. Because it's the oldest TFP song, and I'm tired of hearing it. But that intro riff, I'm sitting there with a 7-string guitar. I'm like, what do I play? And I'm just kind of plinking around on it. And the intro chord is, I'm going to turn up just a little bit, and the intro chord is, so that it goes. Something like that. The very first riff I wrote, a little sloppy, I should have turned my gain up all the way, but very first riff I ever wrote, it did not sound like that when I wrote it, but I remember I was in my buddy's garage, and I was just playing a power chord, and I was playing, I was going... And I was like, okay, that's like really lame. And I was like, it sounds like, nothing stands out. I knew no music theory. I thought I made this chord up. I was like, what happens if I just go like this? And I was like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. And I was like, what if I take it further? And so I was like, once again, I'd been playing guitar for a week, right? And I was like, what happens? Like, and I just kind of poked around, and then I was like, okay. I hit it there, and I was like, ooh, that's beautiful. I love beautiful melodic textures. And so for me, I was like, oh, that sounds beautiful. It was really sloppy, even worse than that. And I was like, okay, it needs like something else. And I was like, I don't know what to do with my pinky. And I accidentally had my pinky here, and I went like this. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And so I was like... I was like, oh my God, I invented a chord. I was like, I thought I made up a chord. I thought nobody had ever played a chord like that in their life. And it was just because I was looking for more, man. I wanted away from the power chord, and I wanted to make something totally unique and totally cool. And so it just came. And like I said, it took me a long time to play it clean, but that was the very first riff I ever wrote on guitar. Now, the next song I wrote was just just a bunch of open chunks. But I remember Nathan was just like, dude, that is such a cool sounding riff. And I was like, yeah, that's so sick. And we just, I've had that riff for 20 plus years at this point. And I always think about it. I was like, man, like when I think about the chord shapes I use, I always try to bring in like beautiful stuff into the heavy. I like that merging of beauty and chaos and heavy. I like it to all kind of converge into something. And so for me, I come back to that riff a lot, and I'm like, it makes sense that it was the first riff I ever wrote now, because I use a lot of cool chord textures and stuff. But yeah, that was it. And then it was just, I've always liked to write, man. I love to sit down and write a song, and whether it's good or bad, right? I've written way more bad riffs than good ones. I think that's everybody, I hope. I hope that's all of you guys. Most of my riffs are terrible, and what I keep is the cool stuff, you know? But I've always tried to push my boundaries and just try to write something cooler, better, more beautiful, more metal, you know, and push my own boundaries, because quite frankly, I just wasn't good at doing what other people did. I was only good at doing what I did, and that's why I've stuck to it for so long.
Yeah, I really connect with your album, but the process, you say I'm really melodic too.
Yeah.
And I love the textures you get with the different kind of tones and how they mix.
Same.
Right? And it's really nice. That reminds me a lot some kind of Slipknot, but it's different, or like Nightwish.
Right.
Yeah, and all of us, when we are creating music, we have influences, and we take some ideas, but sounds really natural. No, it's really different. But talking with you, I understand more your album, right? And that's really amazing. The job you did.
Thank you. That gives me chills, dude. Thank you so very much, man. That is so kind of you to say.
No.
We put a lot of work into it, and you just never know what people are going to think.
And you showed that with your story, and I just said I understand more your album, because some guitars get in my head, and oh, that's really nice. And I'm not a really, I don't like a lot the guttural voices.
Right.
I don't enjoy a lot that.
Right.
But I like the black metal bands, because the guitars, right? Or death metal, but I focus on guitars, not a lot on voices, right? And you have the guttural voices and the natural voice, right? And I really enjoyed that album. I add on my playlist some songs, and just you explain how you get the riffs. You create. You don't create with theory or something like that. You create with your heart, and that's the point, to make music. Yeah.
One thing about the album is, Brian, the vocalist, he started off on bass, and I remember back in the day, like, he was like, man, I really want to do vocals. He's like, I can kind of sing. And so he took some lessons. And so he's been working on his clean voice for years. And like I said, that guy, he's my ride or die, man. Brian's one of my best friends. We could not see each other for a couple of years and pick up just where we left off. And when it came back into doing this, I remember he was nervous. He's like, dude, I don't know if people are going to like the clean vocals over the metal. And I'm like, I promise people are going to like it. It's in now. People dig it. When we were doing it in 2010, people thought we were weird. And so he does a lot of that. He's got a really cool voice. And we're working on like album 2 stuff right now and newer songs. And man, some of the stuff he's doing vocally is it's really, really cool. So we're trying to bring in just more of that, that my method of just throwing the kitchen sink at a song, doing a little bit of everything. Like if you notice, like every song has a clean break.
Yeah.
Every song's got a lot of that was recorded on an acoustic. Our newest single, Wretched Elegy, that we put out recently, that's got a classical guitar break in the middle. And
yeah, all the songs have dynamics.
Yep.
Right? It's not because right now the metal it's a lot jammed.
Yep.
And the dynamic it's like Metallica. Metallica have the evolution about the song, and they have song for 8 minutes, but you are interested on that, and they play fast, they play slow, and the dynamics. It's really, really. This is a really good project, right?
Yeah.
Well, what is in the future on Funeral Procession?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of cool stuff. I can talk about this all day. We've got a music video dropping January 6th for our last song that we put out, Wretched Elegy, and I'm really excited about it. Cinematography is beautiful. So a kid named Eric Chavez did the video for us, and it's awesome. I'm really excited about that. We've got about 15 songs kind of in the works. We've got one brand new single we're working on releasing. Probably track drums for that in the next couple weeks, and then get everybody's parts done, then get it to mix and master. Hopefully release mid-February or so, and then trying to get ready for album 2. I mean, we've got a lot of material to pick from. We've been learning new songs, playing through some of the new stuff, seeing how we feel about it, making small changes. Like I said, I write a ton of music, and so it's like I'll just like, hey guys, here's a new song, here's a new song, here's a new song, and I'm always throwing new songs at the guys, and so sometimes it's good. We've kind of just taken a step back. We're not gigging as much right now because we're just really focused on getting our live show up and running, making sure that we've got the new songs that we like, learning those, making sure we like the way they feel before we put them down on recording, and then just kind of just figuring out our game plan for the next year. I'm really excited because we've been working on this for a while. We've got a light show now. So whenever we play live, like we bring our own lights and they're with the music and they trigger whenever we want them to trigger. And we've kind of put like some little stage show stuff going on. So if you see us live, like you'll see like candles on the drum set, and then we're wearing like robes and stuff now, just to give it something a little bit different live, just so we're not just some dads up on stage playing metal. We want to give it something visual, something cool, So we've been working on a lot of that. It's taking a little bit to get there, but being in a band, man, it's just not about. You're no longer just a guitar player or just a drummer. You're a marketing person. You're a video guy. I'm the guy in the band that does all of our recording. So I do all of our recording, and then I send it off to a guy named Greg Fender, does our mixing and mastering. And then like our singer, like he's figured out like the Google ads and all that kind of stuff. And so you find yourself. Not just being musicians in a room anymore, but having to learn how to run a business from the middle out and figure out all these things, like building a light show and figuring out how all that stuff works and just doing all that stuff. We've had to figure it out on our own, which is great.
Yeah.
Now we can help people do it, which is cool.
Right now, if you want to get a project, you need to be more artistic, right? And I get noticed with Mike Ames. He's a really nice person, but he's an artist. He create his gigs with in a scenario. He put something in some schools and that art connect with music and. Yeah, you just said, okay, on the stage I want flames, and you want a performance like Lou Morris from Lovesick Drug on Callback. He's really artistic, and right here on Dallas Forward, you guys are really artistic and you take the projects really seriously.
Oh, yeah.
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 And I learned a lot about you guys.
We since we're called the Funeral Procession, like my singer designed, you know when you go to a funeral and they give you the pamphlet and it's like in loving memory and it's got the picture and you open it up, it's the obituary. We made one of those to hand out at shows about the band. And so everybody that comes in, they get one. It's got like our pictures inside. It's got our logo on the front. And it's got our set list. And on the back, it's got like a little obituary about us dying, whatever. And so we just wanted to do that one little thing that nobody else is doing. Because quite frankly, I mean, we're kind of at the point now where we play those songs with our eyes closed. How do we make it interesting? How do we make it memorable? And so, you know, that just those little pieces, like I love it when a band does like that extra little something live because you talk about it. So,
yeah, you need to get shock the people right now because we are really, we are really on the air because we look. Oh, that's nice. That's not that. No, you need to be shocked with people right now to be focusing on your project, right? Well, do you have some gigs nearly?
So we have nothing until April. So one of our good friends, they're a band out here that was doing awesome. They're coming back. They reformed called Splatterfish. And so I'll send you the details on that one. But that's going to be in April at the Rail Club. So we're going to be playing that show, which would be really cool. Till then, man, we're just going to be working on new music. That's it, man. I've got so much stuff and I'm just like, me and my singer, we're both always like, we want to put out new stuff now. And we're like, there's so many people that haven't heard the old stuff. We need to slow down. But, you know, until April, we're just kind of working on getting some new stuff down as a band. So that's our next show. And then trying to book something out of town.
Okay. I hope I can go and see you guys because I never see you on the stage. But I hope to go and enjoy your music alive because I love the concerts and spend really fun time with people.
Awesome.
And enjoy the music. Well, what is your favorite album ever?
Oh, that's hard. I'm a weird one because like my favorite artist of all time is Neil Young. I love Neil Young. Decade probably has the most favorite songs on it. I can listen to that album over and over and over and over. I love Neil Young. Album that's probably had the most impact on me as a musician, probably Opeth's Blackwater Park. But if I could only listen to one album for the rest of my life, golly, what would be my favorite album? It's hard to pick. I listen to so many different bands. Oh, man. In Absentia by Porcupine Tree. I love Porcupine Tree. That album is, it kind of mixes everything that I love about music into one place. It's very proggy, not heavy at all, but long songs, progressive, kind of grungy in places. If I had to listen to one album for the rest of my life, I think that's probably the one I'd pick. So I'm going to say that's my favorite album. I'm going to say it. There's other albums that I love that have shaped me, but that album for me is probably my favorite album. Yeah, that's a hard one to answer. Whoa, man, that's tough. You put me in the hot seat.
Well, I have another one. Well, what album do you recommend for guitarists? Because, well, we are talking about guitars, about music, but we are really involved on guitars. What album do you recommend for guitarists? This album has a really good process about guitars.
The pinnacle of guitar albums, Rising Force by Yngwie Malmsteen.
Rising Force.
Oh my God, that album to me is just, it changed my life when I first heard it. Yngwie is just insane. The songwriting, I feel like he was at his peak at that album. if you know a whole lot about Yngwie, he's crazy, insane player. But that album, to me, had the best songwriting, had the most emotion. It's a very emotional album, and I love that. So for me, Rising Force by Yngwie Malmsteen. That's the most guitar album ever, in my opinion.
Okay, Nakoa. Well, do you have some recommendations or an advice for guitarists or the people are on the process of the band?
Yeah. Find people that you can work with. Play with as many people as you can and build a network, right? Find people that you gel with. You're not going to get along with everybody. Putting your best friend in your band is probably the worst thing you could ever do. And just get out and play with people, man. I've been blessed. I've played with some amazing musicians over the years. Surround yourself with people that are better than you, right? If you're the best person in the room, go to a different room. If you're the smartest person in the room, go to a different room. But when it comes to music, surround yourself with people that are better than you. Find people and hang out with people and play music with people that are doing what you want to do and go learn from them. And when it comes time to building a band, I really think what it comes down to is getting people who are on the same page. Just like being married, you have to have clear, honest communication. You got to be upfront. You got to set goals, and you got to work towards those goals with each other as a band. I love the guys in my band because we all work really hard together. We're all on the same page. We all want the same thing as a band, and that's really hard to find. There are a lot of musicians out there that are really talented, but they're not good at band setting, or they're great in a band setting, but they can't quite keep up. You got to find your group of people. You got to find your tribe. Put your right people in the right places. I'd rather have somebody that's maybe not as good at their instrument, but willing to work hard, because they're going to get good at their instrument being in the band. Yeah. And so never write anybody off, right? You can learn something from anybody. It doesn't matter as good as you are. But I know that's a lot of advice, and that's my ADHD kicking in. I saw some keys jingle, but it's just play with as many people as you can. Have a clear goal as a band and what you want to accomplish, and make sure everybody in that band's working towards that goal. And put people in place that want to work hard. I truly believe that if you do it for the right reasons, it'll work out. And I've been blessed, deeply blessed to have the lineup that I have, and have been able to play with the people that I played with over the years who've helped shape me into the musician I am today. And my goal is to get better every single day, and just being around the right people will push you to do that. So
yeah, thank you so much. It's all the sense to get better, join with people have more knowledge.
Yeah.
And don't stay just on one place. Yep. Explore all the spread. Yep. For the music, because the music it's really big. Yeah. Well, Nakoa, if somebody want to contact you for a gig, for do something with Funeral Procession, how they contact you?
Easiest way is probably through either Facebook or Instagram. Both of those are just / the Funeral Procession TX. You can find me on Facebook, Nakoa Arnold. I'll talk your ear off, so be careful if you message me. But yeah, feel free to message me there. You can email us at thefuneralprocession@gmail.com. Or catch us at a show. We're always out flyering and networking and talking. So if you ever see us around, we'd love to talk to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nakoa, for accept this invitation to Guitar Memories. I really love your story. I love the way you express the passion and love you put on your own music. I really enjoy this episode. Yeah. And I hope you see you soon in another place and an arena. And
I wish.
Yeah, for sure. I hope all your projects get successful with all the goals you put on your way. And thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. And I give all glory to God. I don't want to get preachy or religious, but everything at the end of the day, all the gifts I have come from God, and I just thank Him for the life He's given me, the talents and skills He's given me, and I try to put them to use the best that I can. So,
for sure. Thank you so much. Well, guys, thank you so much to being here on Guitar Memories. Remember, share this episode with your friends. Comment, subscribe. And if you are on Dallas Fort Worth and you are a guitarist and you want to tell your story, just contact me on Guitar Memories contact at gmail.com. Thank you so much, and I see you guys on the next episode with another amazing guitarist. See you.
Take care. Thank you.
Keep playing. Bye.
Put a cool guitar solo. Make it look like I'm really good here.
Thank you.